Preseason game, if you watch, you'll see, after a few series, the veterans, the starting players, they come off the field. They're on the sideline kind of laughing with their baseball caps on. They're out of the game. You don't want to risk them getting hurt. Well, one preseason game, he was put in the game to return punts in the fourth quarter. And maybe it was a trial thing or whatever, but it was kind of demeaning, or it could have been viewed that way. And after the game, the reporters came up to him, and they stuck their microphone in his face and said, hey, how does it feel to be returning punts in the fourth quarter of a game? And, implying that you can see the writing on the wall that you're fighting for your life and, to make the team. And his answer was very simply, I'm just trying to help the team win, to do the best I can. And he, very calmly, he knew what they were trying to do, but he took the high road, never complained. And there were days during training camp even, he didn't just say it, he showed it. There were days during training camp, really hot days, where after practice, he would take this kid, Russell Copeland, that was drafted to replace him, and work with him one-on-one. And all the while working out, as hard as he could himself. And the cuts came, and he did make the team, just barely. And he wasn't playing very much, or if at all. And then about the third game of the year, the team's best receiver, Andre Reed, got injured. And Billy Brooks got to play a significant role. And how did he respond? He ended up setting the team record that year for touchdown receptions. So his preparation, he went from thinking he might not play, but he was prepared to play. And after some of those tremendous games, those same reporters that were there in the preseason trying to antagonize him, would ask him, how does it feel? And they were trying to get an answer from him, something like, trying to bait him into say something like, well, management doubted me, but I showed him. But he didn't bite. He didn't bite on that. He gave the same classy answer as he gave in preseason, just trying to help the team win. And it's something that stuck with me for a long time. I saw Billy a couple of years ago in Indianapolis. He works for the Colts. He worked under Tony Dungy, got a Super Bowl ring, much bigger than this one, and he deserved it. And I told him, I said, I watched you that year, and I followed you, and I told him how much his conduct, really influenced me, and it meant a lot to him. And I'm sure he could have no idea that I'm here, speaking at Houghton College about him. And to him, I'm sure it was just normal business. But the fact that you're all sitting in this room, it's a Friday night. Who knows what you could be doing? But it tells me that you have the drive and the ability to understand the lesson here. Billy lived a true, honest life, not for his own glory. He worked hard. He took nothing for granted. But when the chance came for him to show what kind of player and person he was, he showed it. And he was accountable to himself, his family, and to God. And God rewarded him in his own time. And that's one of the things, when you show character, God is in his time will reward you. And that's just one of many examples. But when I see something like that, it helps me embrace what's hard at work. And we all have it. You have tough classes. You have tough times, as professors and administrators. But a few years ago, we signed a player. His name was Troy Vincent. Some of you may know the name, but Troy Vincent came to us from the Eagles, and he just so happened to be the president of the Players Union. So it's kind of like Russian roulette. I guess one team has to have that guy on your team, and it was us that year. The bullet was in the chamber. But one of my jobs is to make sure that the players get everything they're entitled to in the collective bargaining agreement. And Troy, he would drive me crazy. He would call me and email me, and every time I saw him in the halls, he's like, I think you should be paying for our hotel, and this travel, and this meal money. And I'm like, I thought I knew the CBA pretty good before he got there, but he just grinded me. But I really, really learned the collective bargaining agreement and what players were entitled to, thanks to him being there. We got to be, pretty close. Having him there benefited me, even though it drove me crazy. It's just, looking back, it's probably the best thing that could have happened for that facet of my job. And kind of came into play a little bit last year, where we were in Denver at the end of the year, and weather prevented us from getting home that night, so we had to stay an extra night in Denver. And a player we had in the team last year, Langston Walker, just a massive guy. He's not with us anymore, but he's 6'8", 400 pounds. If you read the yearbook, it probably said he was only 360 or something, but he was easily 400 pounds. But anyway, real smart guy. I went to Cal, and he was grilling me about, in Denver, we should have gotten meal money there. Well, we provided a dinner, and he was just, it was the principle of it. He thought the players should have gotten meal money for that. And it sounds kind of silly when you know how much money they make, but, and finally he said, I'm going to have Troy Vincent call you. Now, he didn't know that, or didn't remember that Troy was with us. And I said, you know what, that's a great idea. I said, why don't you come to my office this afternoon, and you and I will call Troy on speakerphone. I said, Troy and I go way back. And that would be good. We'll get an answer from him. And if he can convince, us that you're entitled to that meal money, that's fine. I'll go to my boss. And he was kind of taken back. And so basically, thanks to him, I knew my business. And it's kind of a funny story. But in sort of closing, I know I'd be happy to take some questions, but in working for the Bills, it's been an incredible experience. Every Wednesday morning during the season, the players come to my office, some guy from a little town in the Adirondacks, and to pick up their paychecks, and from a tray next to a picture of my two daughters. And I've been to 4 Super Bowls, 4 AFC Championship rings, still hoping for the big one, of course. Been, as Professor Bates said, around the country, and chance to see some of the world. But realistically, I am well aware that with the nature of professional sports, it could end tomorrow. And we do have the oldest owner in the NFL. And I'm not talking about the team moving, and I don't know any of that. I don't believe that's the case. But even in any administrative shakeup, good people get swept out for it just happens. And with the base that I got from Houghton, that I truly believe I'll be fine, whatever I do. And I have a few ideas, but I'd like to be there forever. But I know that, it's probably not realistic. For me, having been there as long as I have, I still think is a miracle. But, for you, and as I've tried to say, keep pressing through the hard times, whether it's a class or whatever it may be. You'll fail sometimes, but you'll have discouraging moments, but you want to take a page out of Billy Brooks's playbook and learn from the challenges, work your tail off, and stay focused, and you'll be fine too. And this is, I'm happy to take some questions. I really appreciate your attentiveness. You're better than the players, I think. And you wouldn't even been fined, I don't think, if you were. So, but, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? And they don't have to be now. You can ask me afterwards, but I thought it's okay.
What's the split in your job between working as an individual and supervising a group of people that work for you?
Good question. Split between people that work for me, well, I technically only have 3 people that work for me, and 2 kind of work directly under coaching. So I'm kind of in a unique position where I'm close to being an island of I report to Jim Overdorf, but I've been with him long enough that he just trusts that I'll get my work done. I know what I need to do. As I mentioned, I have a daughter who plays sports, and if she has a game at 4:30 some afternoon, I could just let him know, hey, I'm going to go catch the game, because he knows I could be there late at night on some other night, as I demonstrated. But